Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Happy Saturday. We have a two-game NFL slate today that we're looking at. First, for this Prizepicks videos, NBA, they haven't posted many props yet except for the Magic ones, so I'll be getting back to that once they post the rest of the board. But we have a two-game NFL slate today. We have Mahomes against the Raiders, and we have the Jags and the Titans for the battle of the division, the AFC South. Should be a fun two-game slate. Have 6 props. Want to share with you guys yesterday's NBA props. Went 5-1. We had so many 5-1 days over the last couple weeks since I've been making these videos. Just had 1 6 for 6, but 5-1 is still double your money. And if you mix and match, you're making a good amount of money on days that we do go 5-1. So recap of NBA props. Yesterday, John Collins over PRA hit. Over PRA on LaMelo Ball hit. Nick Vucevic smashed his points and rebounds. Julius Randle went over his points, rebounds, and assist. CJ McCollum went over 25.5 points. LeBron James, man, fell short. The Lakers blew out the Hawks. Played probably like 4 or 5 less minutes. Probably could have got it done. He missed by, I think, 4 or 5 points, rebounds, and assists. But going on to today, as always, if you enjoy the videos, if you want to support the channel, hit the like button, subscribe. Really helps me out. If you want to follow on Twitter, it's at the DFS Process. You can check out the site, dfsprocess.net, for DraftKings and FanDuel. I'll add Prizepicks at some point. Going to get us started for today, first prop we're looking at is going to rushing yards, and we are taking Jerick Henry over 91.5 rush yards. He's going up against a team that he's absolutely crushed. He's had probably the most success out of any teams that he's faced has been against the Jags. Last time he faced them, he gave you over 120 rushing yards. He had 121. He also got the last week off, so he's feeling even better, even probably more refreshed, and probably looking for an even bigger workload than he's usually used to. And without Tannehill, Dobbs was look pretty good last week, at least decent, better than Willis. But they're still going to be looking to give Henry as many carries as he can handle, probably north of 25. If you look at his games against the Jags, he's had 121 rushing yards, 130, 215, 84, and 159 over the last 5 meetings. So 4 out of the 5 has gotten you well over 100, and has gotten you at least 120 plus. A couple of those well over 150 plus. And his best game against the Jags was back in 2018, where he rushed for 238 yards and 4 touchdowns. So I love Henry. I mean, I don't know how you can. There's so many props you could look to him. You can take his rushing yards. You can take his touchdowns at 0.5. They both look really good. Going over to receiving yards, we are taking Isaiah Pacheco over 9.5. Mahomes is going to be looking to pass a ton against this poor Raiders defense. Wouldn't be surprised if Mahomes has close to 350 yards passing over his last. He's basically has, I guess, the MVP pretty much locked up. Last 3 out of his last 4 games, he's passed for north of 328, and he's had a couple of tougher matchups there against Denver twice. And then he's had some soft matchups mixed in between against Houston. But he's been looking to Pacheco's way a lot more, usually, than he typically was. Well, only like 2 to 3 targets for Pacheco. Sometimes he'll give you 1 target out of the backfield. But early on in the season, when he was just basically using as a running back. He wasn't getting very many targets at all. But since, beginning of December, he's at least been a little bit involved in the passing game, getting short pass out of the backfield, so high completion percentage passes to him, and he gives you some speed and some explosiveness. You just need 10 yards, 1 catch for 10 yards or 2 catches for 10 yards, or whatever. Hopefully he's able to get it done against the Raiders defense. I think there's at least a chance, just with how much Mahomes will look to throw the ball. Or the first meeting against them, Pacheco just had 1 carry, so you can't really put any stock into that. But looking at 9.5 receiving yards for him. Another one over receiving yards we're looking at is going to be the tight end for the Jags. Trevor Lawrence also should just crush against the Titans. Pass defense, the Titans are good against the rush. They have a nice front 7, but very bad against the pass. These teams faced off a few weeks ago, and Trevor Lawrence had one of his best games in terms of passing. He's listed as questionable, but I expect him to play. This is such an important game, looking to win the AFC South, get into the playoffs. Last time they faced him was December 11th, where Trevor Lawrence threw for 368 yards and also gave you a rushing touchdown. Feel like gives you a very good chance to maybe not throw that many yards today, but at least flirt with 300. And Evan Ingram's been really good. Recently, he's been emerging and finally starting to be utilized like like a number one tight end, like probably a top 10 tight end this year. He's been at least since basically since like December. He's been really good. He's had 10 target game against Dallas, 15 target game against the Titans when they faced off. Had his best game of his life. So I'm looking at over 45.5 for him. If we're liking Trevor Lawrence's passing today, his chances to throw for a lot of passing yards, I'm taking the over 265.5 passing yards on Trevor Lawrence. You can stack him up with Evan Ingram, stack him up with Chris Kirk, whoever you want to. I prefer Evan Ingram just with how bad Titans are against tight ends and how good Evan Ingram has been recently. So, in terms of these quarterback passing overs, Mahomes looks great. Lawrence looks great. I'll probably go Lawrence and Mahomes. And these two, I'm kind of, they're not we don't have as much of a sample size on them, so it's tougher to kind of project, but I'll rather go to these other two props instead of those two. So those are 4 props so far that we have. Next one we're going over to is the fantasy scoreboard. You have a bunch that you can look to. One that I'm looking at right now is Jerick McKinnon, north of 13 fantasy. He's been utilized a lot more in terms of red zone situations. Pacheco sometimes has some fumble issues, but McKinnon, when they're looking to pass, he's going to be utilized on third downs. Over his last 4 games, he's given you 6 targets, 3 targets, 8 targets, 9 targets. He's had a touchdown in 5 straight games. Over his last 5, he's given you 7 touchdowns over that span. And we know Andy Reid loves these small running backs that just likes to dump off, and he's had some good running backs over his tenure with the Chiefs, with the Williams, Darrell Williams, and Damian Williams last year and the previous years. And McKinnon has kind of emerged as that scat back that will catch passes and will make some plays and take it to the end zone. And he doesn't really have any issues in terms of fumble issues or anything like that. So I like him. I like his chances to probably get into the end zone once again. And if he does, with how many targets and catches he'll give you, just need like a touchdown and you'll probably hit his over 13 fantasy. He was at 12.5 when I originally wanted to make the video, but 13 is still good enough for me to feel confident. And then for the final prop, so far we have a few Jaguars props. We have a few Chiefs props in here. And those are teams I feel the best about. We have a Titans prop with Henry, obviously. But we are going back over to the receptions board for the first time today. And there's a handful that are pretty low, like Marvin Jones right at 2 receptions. I mean, he's been lining up for a good amount with how much we think Lawrence will throw today and have success throwing. He looks good. You have Chris Kirk at a pretty low number at 4.5. He's come down a little bit just with how good Evan Ingram has been lately, and Zay Jones has had some monster games there. But we're going with Travis Kelce over 6 receptions. Just such a good matchup against the Raiders in terms of being able to pass against them. Travis Kelce's had a good season. Maybe not as great of a season as you might have hoped if you drafted him very early in drafts, just with sometimes the touchdowns have been lower, except for that one game where he had 4 touchdowns. I believe that was against the Chargers. However, if we pull up some of the game logs for him against the Raiders, you see that he's done a great job against them. Over his career, he's given you, in 17 games, he has 94 catches against them. If you look back recently, he had 7 catches against them in the October meeting between these two teams. He missed it the previous meeting in December of last year. But then he has 8, 8, 8, 5, 7 before that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. His last 7 meetings against them, he's gotten you at least 7 receptions in 5 of them, with 8 receptions in 3 of them. And we only need 6 for a push, 7 for a hit. I feel pretty good about this one. So that's what I got for you guys for NFL today for this 2-gamer. Over 91.5 rush yards on Derrick Henry. Over 9.5 receiving yards on Isaiah Pacheco. Over 45.5 receiving yards Evan Ingram. Sticking with the theme of the Jags being able to throw all over this Titans defense. Give me Trevor Lawrence. Over 265.5 passing yards. Jerick McKinnon continues his touchdown streak today. Give us over 13. Fantasy and Travis Kelce over 6 receptions. Thank you for watching. Best of luck, and I'll catch you all next time.